Pyrocynical is a YouTuber that got himself into a bit of controversy back in December 2020. Before we jump into those allegations, I think we should dive into who Pyrocynical is and why do people still respect him to this day. Pyrocynical, probably saying that wrong, but who cares, is one of the biggest commentary YouTubers on the site with a whopping 4.62 million subscribers. Starting his channel back in 2013, Niall didn't upload his first video until March 31st, 2014, 8 months after making the channel. He started off his channel by making montage parodies, which if you don't remember what they are, consider yourself lucky. Oh, hello there! 6 uploads later, he would release one of the biggest videos on his channel, MLG Teletubbies, which to date has 16 million views. And 2 uploads after, we got Shrek Has Swag, which still today holds up some relevance, with the meme being Shrek still relevant meme for the kids to laugh at. I'm not joking, by the way, people still find this video funny. 28 MLG videos later, Niall had reached 250,000 subscribers, which for only making videos for a year was pretty impressive, but this was only a beginning for his channel. Towards the end of 2015, Pyro realised that MLG wasn't doing it for him as much as it was anymore. But he was stuck in a loop here. Pyro can't stop doing the MLG videos since his entire channel grew from the genre. So to save his channel from dying into irrelevancy, Pyro had combined a gaming commentary video with the style of MLG editing into it.
Is that in your inventory? You've got something called like, wait, let me see. Dude, who's that behind you? Who's that behind you? Just fucking...
This was to probably give him a bit of creative freedom on the side of putting his personality into his videos for a better connection for the viewers. In 2016, Pyro had pretty much moved away completely from MLG, with his channel even having a different look to it. His videos now were his commentary videos, which were obviously very much inspired by Leafy's here, who was popping off on YouTube in 2016. He also uploaded these 2 videos here about furries, which is so ironic, I will bring it up later. I had mentioned this briefly in my Tobuscus video, but Keemstar and Pyro had some petty beef in 2016. It all started when Pyro uploaded a calm video explaining to how he thinks Keem should have put a disclaimer in his video where he interviews a girl accusing Tobuscus of rape.
Now everyone's pretty much summed up Keemstar as this guy that he isn't the nicest guy on the internet, but he is the most realist, you know, he'll tell you how it is, whether you like that or not. But honestly, in my opinion, what I think Keem should have done in that video is gave some kind of disclaimer that these are allegations and you shouldn't be going and flaming on Toby's channel. Now obviously this isn't required for Keem to do this, you know, he doesn't have to if he doesn't want to, but it would definitely increase his credibility as a neutral news source if he were to do that, and a lot of people would probably respect him more by openly trying to combat the herd mentality that can stir up from reporting on certain topics and people. And to be honest, these are allegations, there's no concrete proof, so obviously the last thing you want to do is stir up some massive circle jerk against the guy who may not even be guilty.
Now Keemstar being Keemstar didn't take the criticism very well, to the point where he had multiple rant videos afterwards about Pyro.
You could contact me with that at any time. You didn't hit me up privately. You didn't share this opinion with me. No, you make a fucking video criticizing me. All right, bro, you're a fake piece of shit. And if you fucking swing at me, I'm gonna swing much harder back. Did you really just say that I need to have a disclaimer saying that's an allegation? The title of the video is Toby Turner Rape Allegations. All right? Oh, and Pyro, do you remember those YouTubers that you used to be friends with before you blew up and like fucked them off? You know how they've been contacting me saying that you've been dating some like 14-year-old French girl and shit? Just please swing at me. If you're gonna swing at me, dude. Let me know, because I got a fucking files on top of files to swing back at.
This drama, looking at it now, just makes Keemstar look like a complete retard. But continuing on with this drama, we can see that Pyro had eventually given in to Keemstar and actually made a response video on his channel that's still up to this day. And we can see that Pyro brings up this point.
And if that wasn't bad enough, Keem is now trying to spread even more bullshit, saying that I'm dating underage girls and saying outright on stream that I'm a pedophile.
Pyro was trying to hook up with a 13-year-old girl from France, all right? That he was technically like a pedo or a weirdo or something, right?
Now looking at this at face value, it looks completely horrible what Keemstar is doing here. He brings no proof to the table and he's just stating that Pyrocynical is basically a pedophile. But Pyrocynical had taken this clip completely out of context and tried to make it look like Keem had said something this horrible and incriminating thing, when in reality Keem had said this.
I used to have a lot of friends in that scene, right? Well, those people got in contact with me and told me that fucking Pyro was trying to hook up with a 13-year-old girl from France, all right? That he was technically like a pedo or a weirdo or something.
One of these people who had told Keemstar were actually I'm Alex. I know, who would have guessed? Hello, my name's I'm Alex. This was something that actually ended up with Pyrocynical's dad threatening to beat up I'm Alex. This was at a convention Pyro and his family were at. I really wish this was a joke, by the way. It's just too good to be true. Pyro had responded to these allegations in 2016 with a Reddit post stating this. Pyro had denied these allegations and stated how Keemstar couldn't keep the age of the girl consistent, which is true because Keem is a fat gnome and it's hard for the man to think. He just says things. So when he hears she is 15, he says on Twitter, hey guys, she's 15. Then probably heard someone say 14 and says, hey guys, she's actually 14. Now obviously most people wouldn't do this, but Keemstar doesn't care and tries to his best to hurt his enemies in any way possible. And Keemstar really thought he had a moment to end Pyro. At the time of this, people believed and sided with Pyrocynical in this situation. He had as much credibility as Colossal Crazy does. Well, I would argue otherwise now. Over the years, Pyro kept up his content of making commentary videos and eventually moved on to facecam videos in 2017. Things were actually looking good for Pyro until late 2020. On the 30th of October 2020, a person that goes by the name of Ivory made some tweets stating that Pyrocynical had groomed him and proceeded to show the conversation that the two exchanged between each other. And some of the stuff, looking at it now, looks quite damaging.
I'd love for my Sona to be licking at his fat, sweaty ass while rubbing his belly from behind and then just having him gas all over my Sona's face. That'd be so nice. Or if mine was just underneath him, getting railed underneath his huge belly, and your Sona could be gassing non-stop as he fucks mine like... Huh? Well, to be honest, I'd pick you up, hug you while... Well, to be honest, I'd pick you up, hug you while rubbing you against my huge, sweaty moobs, then kiss your cheeks, telling you how much I loved you, and then kiss you on the lips and let out a hard, long belch into your mouth. Come on.
After finding out the age Pyro was, it becomes more damaging since he was 18 and Ivory was 15. This brings me to ask this simple question. How did Pyrocynical get away with it? Well, it's simple. He denied the fact that he ever knew the age. He took to Reddit again to talk about these allegations and started it by saying, hey gamers, the grooming allegations, bruh. In his Reddit post, he explains how he was just focusing on the roleplay side of things and the furry stuff they were sending to each other. Some people don't believe this, since there are multiple times Pyro could have found his age, but to me it doesn't even matter, since Pyro's response video he admits to knowing the age and continuing to talk to Ivory.
In retrospect, I never should have continued the furry stuff with him once I learnt of his age, even though at the time I didn't see it as a problem. Legally, age of consent is 16 in both my country and his state. I didn't consider the age gap significant enough because what we were talking about and doing was so far removed from actual sex.
Of course, he says he found out when he was 16, which is the age of consent in both their countries. This makes it look better from a moral standpoint on Pyro's side, since we believe he only carried on because he knew it was legal. Where I have a problem with it was when he found out that he was 16, is it not logical to think about when you first started talking to him, he might have not actually been 16? To me, this shouldn't even be a point I have to make, since Pyro should have asked for his age, because with his massive platform, he has a big responsibility to make a good role model for his audience, since that's what most of them think, and a lot of them still do. They see Pyro as this indestructible force that can destroy any criticism thrown at him. When this was all going on, Turkey Tom made 3 videos about the situation, with the last one being a response to Pyro's video.
People claim that Pyro disproved everything and that my videos are now null, and that everything is paper thin. Pyro's video itself managed to convincingly disprove one argument. The rest he admits to. He acts like a victim, when the reason all of this happened is his own fault, because as an adult, he sexted minors on Discord, and there's no real wiggle room there. Hats off to another YouTuber who has to admit to being a sexual degenerate. Lots of people have seemed to claim that I am merely a clout chaser who is insulting Pyro and going after him for views. If you take one look at my backlog of videos and the work I've collaborated with others on, it's obvious that I have time and time again defended people who did not deserve the hand they were dealt.
The amount of colossal backlash Tom got is something I have never seen before. Once Pyro's video came out, the blood was already out for Tom. They bombarded his comments, likes, and Twitter. I don't care who you are, getting this much hate with any sub count size must be the most stressful and horrible thing ever. Tom left the internet for 2 months since it got that bad for him. Even on his first video back, the dislikes were still high for the amount of likes it had had. But not long after his return, the Pyro stands eventually got bored and left him be. I want to touch on the term grooming. By just reading the definition itself on Google, we can see this. The action of a pedophile of preparing a child for a meeting, especially via an internet chat room with the intention of committing a sexual offense. And this is not what Pyrocynical did with Ivory. Ivory went onto Tommy C's stream to talk about the situation, and Tommy had asked, how were you even groomed?
how were you groomed? Because you don't need to be groomed for this to be wrong. I mean, is it really fair that you use the word grooming? And if that's true, if you feel that's true, where was this going?
See, I'm not like, I don't know. I was in a call with my friend when I like typed it out, and I typed like, I remember I typed that and asked like, is that okay?
Because it reads more like a YouTube like thumbnail. Do you honestly believe? Did you not understand the definition of the word?
I feel like it was like forcing or like manipulating a child into a like sexual situation.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what that word means to me.
As you can see, he doesn't even know how it was grooming himself. So to use this word without knowing what it meant is something that he should have looked up before coming out of this situation. Tommy stated at the beginning of this video how he had looked at some proper ID of Ivory to confirm his age. And to me, Tommy doesn't have a reason to lie or get this wrong, so we can 100% confirm that he was underage when Pyro was sexting him. This is something that Pyro doesn't even deny himself. Lots of people were saying at the time how Tom was clout chasing and doing this all for attention, which is easily not the case. Tom would have gone with public opinion, which was Ivory bad, Pyro good. If you still think that to this day, I can assure you, you are wrong. In my humble opinion, I believe that Pyro knew of the age of Ivory the entire time and just wanted the conversation to happen rather than sex someone underage. I don't think he is a pedophile, I just think he is a horny degenerate freak. Do you now understand why these furry videos are now ironic? No? How about this?
When I was 19 and 20, I liked to take part in this degenerate furry roleplay with pretty much anyone that would reciprocate.
People pointed out in this tweet where Pyro isn't talking about furry stuff and just about his cock. People were basically saying how this isn't just furry stuff. During Tom's hiatus, Pyro had won due to him having the bigger audience to back him. Tom was losing subs and many people continued watching Pyro as normal. Ivory made his final statements and left the internet. Things were becoming good again for Pyro. That was until a certain gnome came back into the news. Keemstar has many grudges against Pyro since he has taken clips of him out of context to make the man look worse than he actually is, which I'm sure would piss anyone off. Keemstar had actually come out with this French girl interview after years of thinking it was all a lie. Granted, Pyro has never responded to this video in any way, so his side of the situation is still not out, and I doubt it will anytime soon. Keemstar claims to have spoken to Pyro after the interview with the girl and tell him about it, and Keem explains how he lies about the situation to get out of it. So Pyro was clearly aware that the situation had happened. I also have no reason to think Keemstar is lying in this situation, plus Pyro not responding 9 months after the interview doesn't exactly make him look like the one in the right. Plus we know the girl exists since Pyrocynical mentioned her in 2016 on his Reddit post against Keemstar. Keemstar also showed a DM conversation Pyro had saying how he will wait for her to turn 16 so it can be legal. In this interview, we find out that Pyro met this girl when she was 14 and he was 18. She had claimed to be a fan artist and Pyro had liked her stuff. She also claims how they started dating a few months after they were talking, since they are both flirted in DMs, and how they were 100% boyfriend and girlfriend.
Were you, he said that like, he never dated you, like that you weren't his girlfriend. But were you boyfriend and girlfriend?
Yeah, we were.
In the sense of like e-dating, right? Because you never met each other in real life, but you were e-dating online.
Exactly.
And so, I know I talked to you off air and you told me like nothing sexual actually did happen, which is good on Pyro's part, right?
She does confirm in this interview that during this time, no nudes were exchanged or even asked for. Pyro was also the one that had to break up with her, with him knowing about this situation is wrong and how this is career-ending material. I guess it is good for Pyrocynical to leave this girl after knowing it's wrong, but for him to even think about doing it in the beginning, I'll leave up to you to say if that's bad or not.
Tell you something. You want to find a story? I'm going to give you something right now. It's a tip and it's a serious one. There's something out there about Pyro. See what kind of journalist you are. But it's been blocked at every turn. It's a game ender for him. We just can't touch it because of the situation that went down. And there are some people that have kind of prevented us from doing it on top of it. But there is a game ending scenario for Pyro out there. Go find it. And I'm serious. I know exactly what it is. And it's in the area of the topic we covered. But we can't do it. And people that have tried to cover it have been scared off. I'm serious. Good luck.
Before we get into this damaging thing against Pyro, I just need to clarify something. It isn't actually damaging as Tommy said, and Tommy later in the video stated that this isn't actually damaging as he thought.
The information you're about to hear, at the time I really did think this was a game breaker for Pyro, but I've changed my mind since because I've seen a lot of things, and I understand the optics of Pyro a lot better than I did a couple months ago.
Remember how 3 of Pyro's friends had gone to Keemstar and told him about Pyro is basically a pedophile? We already know one of these people were Alex. Well, what if I were to tell you that we know the other 2 people? Now don't get me wrong, I wasn't the first one to discover this. This information is something that was already out there. It's just not many people are talking about it. Like Tommy said, a lot of people can't talk about it and have been scared off by it. If we look back on the French girl interview Keemstar did, you will notice only half of that interview is about Pyro. The other half is about another relationship this girl had with another YouTuber called Ancient Reality. Ancient Reality is someone who was big during the MLG days. Looking on his channel today, we can see the last upload was 5 years ago and his profile and sub count is hidden. In this relationship, she was 14 years old and he was 21. Obviously this is much worse than Pyrocynical, especially because these 2 had met in person and he had actually sexually abused her, and is to my knowledge currently being investigated in the Netherlands. There were a few other YouTubers that knew about this, such as Dolan Dark and Anything for Views. And the main issue of this is that 3 people, Pyro, Chad and Dolan, knew about this relationship, and they must have known a 14-year-old was dating a 21-year-old is wrong. Hi, Future Wacky here, coming in with a quick update. Dolan Dark had actually responded to this interview on Reddit. Of course I didn't know. Who the fuck would stand by and let that happen? No one knew the extent of this situation. The guy involved, Ancient Reality, covered it up and lied about it when I confronted, and when he was confronted about it, he completely denied it, and then shortly after removed everyone, deleted any contact anyone had with him. She mentions how none of them except Chad tried to help her. She explains how she denied help from Chad due to her being young and naive. Again, listening to this interview, she mentions how the relationship between them got so bad to the point where she had to go to the police about him.
Ancient Reality. People know that this is a very inappropriate relationship. Why didn't anybody say anything publicly?
I have no idea why. Anything for Views tried to help me, and sadly I denied it because I was very stupid, and nobody else tried to help or thought it was wrong. They talked about it to me. They never said it was bad or never considered asking me to leave the relationship.
Ancient Reality has left the internet, and it's unknown if it was because of what happened since he had sex with a minor, which is classified as statutory rape. In this interview, Keem claims how Pyro or anyone else could have actually helped with this situation and stopped it. Keemstar also boasts about how he was the one that scared Pyro into leaving the relationship with the French girl. I know if I was in this situation, I would definitely tell someone to go to the police. If I had a friend that was 21 and they was with someone that was 14, and I'd hope most of you watching this would do this because it's disgusting, but I'd hope you'd also report your friend to the police. Now this is something that happened once with one of Pyro's friends, since Pyro knew of another situation with another anonymous girl. This information was brought to light by Pyro's Reddit thread from 2016, since this was one of his old friends who went by the name of Vagabonds. Vagabonds accused Pyro of being a pedophile and told Keemstar. This is where Keemstar got the situation from to begin with. Pyrocynical was literally aware of this situation too, because he literally mentioned it in his Reddit post. It wasn't mentioned that it was Vagabonds, but thanks to Get Greeked, I was able to find this out. So that leads us to now. Let's put this briefly. Pyro had sexual conversations with a minor in 2017 to 2018 about furries. This he did with multiple people, and we are not sure if they were underage. Pyro knew about a sexual relationship between a 14 and 21-year-old and spoke to her about it and did nothing to stop it. And this happened with another girl that was 15 and the guy was 19. Pyro has most likely stopped these acts behind the scenes, since there is always a way that they will come out to the public eye years later. I am led to believe that this is not the end of the Pyrocynical story, and I believe that this may be coming out very soon. When it does, I will be here to report on it, so make sure you stick around on my channel for part 2. So that brings me to my final statement. How did Pyrocynical get away with it?
You wanna make some of that YouTube money, kid?
2 to the 1, from the 1 to the 3. I like good pussy and I like good trees. Smoke so much weed you wouldn't believe, and I get more ass than a toilet seat. 3 to the 1, from the 1 to the 3. I met a bad bitch last night in the D. Let me tell you how I made her leave with me. Conversation and Hennessy. I've been to the motherfucking mountaintop. Heard motherfuckers talk, seen them drop.